The people who bullied me didn't realize that it kind of started a ricochet of a lot of different people in my life starting to bully me. I'm very lucky to be alive. I always say every single day that I'm here is a miracle to me.
Be Inspired podcast. Real stories from real people. Sharing stories of love and loss, struggles and perseverance, laughter and tears, and overcoming adversity.
The greatest gift of all is when we can give of ourselves to help others. And coming up today on Be Inspired, we're going to meet a remarkable young woman who is doing just that through her own adversity and her own hardships, helping others. I'm Burt Barron.
And I'm Lisa Anderson.
And thank you for joining us today on Be Inspired. And it's really true, Lisa, when you can help others in small ways, in big ways, peers, anyone else who maybe you encounter in life, the gift of giving someone an opportunity and giving someone hope, it's really a remarkable gift that really anyone can give.
Yeah, and you can't put a price on that gift, Bert.
It's true. It's very true. We are so excited to have joining us on the Be Inspired set live today. Mallory Rothstein is here. She is a mental health advocate. She calls Freehold, New Jersey home, and she joins us today to share her story. Mallory, welcome to Be Inspired. It's really great to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and just thank you for, this entire podcast and the mission that you guys both have and the rest of your crew. Thank you for Rebecca for bringing me on as well. So just an honor to be here. And a lot of my story starts out with being bullied in high school. I talk a lot about that in middle school. And it was a really rough time for me. I went from having 5 very close friends to having not a lot of friends very quickly, and having a lot of people in school starting making fun of me. And I don't even think that sometimes people realize when you're bullying someone, that sometimes gives permission for other people to start bullying them, and you don't sometimes see that. And so I think that the people who bullied me didn't realize that it kind of started a ricochet of a lot of different people in my life starting to bully me. In camp, at school, was a lot of different places. And it was all stuff that I couldn't really control. A lot of it was how I looked. My nose, my ears was too big. My last name is Rothstein, it's Jewish. It was different from a lot of the people. There was a lot of different things that I had went through. And at the time, I didn't have a lot of support. There were, now you hear kids say, I go to therapy. Back when I was going to high school, if you say you went to therapy or a psychologist, it was a weird thing. You did not say that. And so I didn't really have a lot of support. I love my parents very dearly, but I don't think they knew how to really handle what was going on. I also didn't think that they knew the severity of it. So when people always ask me, how did your parents deal with it? I don't have any hard kind of feelings for them. They did that the best that they could. But I really dealt with it. First, I went through a lot of depression, anxiety, a lot of suicidal urges. I remember one time I was in the bathroom. I had a knife, and I was like, I'm going to end it. And I said, God, give me one sign that I'm meant to be here. And I kid you not, within like 5 seconds of me saying that, I had one of my close friends at the time call me and just say, hey, how are you doing? And then I also had another friend send me the song You're Not Alone by a band called Seosin. And I'm not going to sing it for anyone here, but you should look up the lyrics and you'd be like, wow, I can't believe that at that time. But there were so many instances of that, of me not wanting to be here anymore on this earth. And I'm very lucky to be alive. I always say every single day that I'm here is a miracle to me for all the things I've been through. I mean, bullying is just one thing. But yeah, and then I watched a lot of Oprah. That was the other thing. I watched a ton of Oprah. But I always knew that I was not kind of the target audience of Oprah. Usually Oprah's for middle-aged women. Here I am, this 14-year-old that's saying, okay, this applies to me, but I don't know what a mortgage is. I don't need to know about that. I don't need to know about divorce yet. But I used to watch and learn about as much as I could through Oprah. Yeah. And a lot, just hearing people's stories. I mean, that's why I love podcasts like this. Hearing someone's story, you never know how it can change the entire trajectory of someone's life. I mean, I always say, all the people that were on that show, they might not know that they really affected me in some way. They gave me some hope. And then fast forward a little bit on, I moved to California 5 years ago. I'm not there anymore, but I was there for a little bit. And at the time, I had just gone through a very bad breakup, as what many people do. And during that relationship, I had thought my purpose was really to save this person. And so much of my purpose was through that individual. So when I had to cut them off, it was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing with my life? And I remember being on a weekend, and I was really kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing. Am I happy? I moved to California. Is this really what I'm meant to be doing? And I asked myself one question, and it was, what makes me happy? And I said, Mallory, don't think about a job. Don't think about anything. Just think of this one question, what makes you happy, and build a life around those things. So as I started writing down youth mentoring, traveling, speaking, workshops, all these kind of things, the beach. I mean, there's so many random things that I wrote. I started asking myself the second question, do young people know how to ask themselves these questions when they go through hard times? And I had known it from, again, watching Oprah and a kind of a ricochet of things from there. And I came up with kind of this idea for what I now have that I founded called Learn What Matters. And it's all about inspiring high school students and how they can invest in their personal development.
Mallory, I have to ask you a personal question. That what do you think makes, because I have a huge problem with bullying. It's one of these things that I really don't have tolerance for. I just think it's such a terrible thing because it triggers so many emotions in the person who's being bullied. Didn't it bring, like, all of a sudden you're worthless? Why do I look like this? Why are they? What do you think makes someone bully a certain person? What do you think you exuded that, because you were quiet, because you were different, or what do you think?
I would say for each person that bullied me, I think it was very different. I think that there was a lot of jealousy that was involved with certain things. I remember being at a camp. I was a camp counselor. I was a floater. So I didn't have a specific group. And a lot of the kids, honestly, I'd have a really good relationship with a lot of the camp a lot of the kids, but I was not their main camp counselor. And a lot of the camp counselors really did not like me because I would come in for a day or two. The kids and I would have a great time, and then I'd kind of leave to go on to the next group, and they would want me as their camp counselor. So I remember having a lot of bullying and even being like someone throwing me under the bus, and then the head of the camp actually yelling at me in front of everyone at the camp, and it wasn't even something that was really my fault. And I was 14 at the time, so this is my first job. It was really hard. But I think that everyone has a different reasoning. I think there's jealousy. I think people see it in their own home, or they're going through bullying, and they kind of do that to someone else, and they don't realize the long-term effects. I mean, this bullying, I think, really affected me in terms of romantic relationships. I rushed into a relationship with the first person who said, I love you and you're so amazing, because I had never heard that before. All I heard was from different people telling me that you're ugly, you're never going to find someone, all of these things. So when I heard that, I was like, this must be the one. And then realizing very soon kind of after that it wasn't, and being kind of entangled in this situation. So I think people don't realize the long-term effects of it as well. And that's why when I go into high schools and I speak to a lot of students, I try to say to them, if you're being bullied, I'm hope that you can make it out, you can have a really successful life. And if you are a bully, this is your way of, this is me having you have a sign to say stop. It's not worth it. There's still things that I go through that are effects from when I was 14, 15, 16 that I still remember. I mean, I have here that I wanted to bring that I'm very proud to go to school, that have gone to school from Freehold High School. It's actually 10 years this year since I graduated. And, but at the same exact time, when I go back there, sometimes I still get memories of things that I went through, that I experienced, that I have to figure out how do you deal with certain triggers. And, I gave a TEDx talk last year, and I don't want to give away everything, but it was kind of my experience going back to my high school to speak for the first time. And I had really thought that I was going to go and give all this stuff to the students, all this wisdom that I had gotten over the years. And then what I realized is when I went back, actually going back was so much more for my own healing, and why I'm really, really a big advocate for people to go back to their high school if they can in some way and give back, even if it's one student, one teacher, $1, anything in your own way that you want to give back, because I think it really means a lot. And I'll just say one other thing. Bruce Springsteen is I think our most famous alum from Freehold High School. Right. And he's inspired me in a lot of ways for what he's done. He's also inspired me a lot for what he hasn't done. And unless he's come back in recent years, I remember he had never gone back to the high school when I was there. And I'd always wished that he would come back, because I know that he had a rough time in high school. Yeah. And I said I didn't want to be known as someone who didn't go back. I wanted to be known as someone who went back and really tried to make a difference for the students there. And so if Bruce Springsteen ever watches this and you ever want to go back with me, I mean, let's make it happen.
Exactly. If this episode gets in front of him one way or another, it could very well
Exactly.
happen.
Come on, Bruce.
And Mallory, I've always had the opinion of those who are bullies. It's because they're dealing with their own insecurities, and they feel as if they have their own issues that now they just sort of take it out on other people. And it seems like that's always been the trend with bullying. It's because you're actually a lesser person than the person you're attacking. And it's how they sort of deal with their own, maybe it's self-perceived inequities or whatever. And they're the ones who really who need to have the esteem boost, are the people that are doing the actual bullying. But your organization called Learn What Matters really resonated with me, because when I was in high school a long time ago, when you graduated high school, I can remember being told by my teachers, like, everybody's the same. You're all adults. You all enter the giant swimming pool called adulthood. The little factions and the groups and who's cooler, who's prettier, who's smarter, who can throw a football further, that means absolute zero when you become an adult and enter with a quote-unquote real world. And that's why I think the brand of your organization, Learn What Matters, really resonates with a lot of people, because it's the three words that sum up where you are, where you should be, and where we all should be going.
Yes, I really appreciate that. And for me, it's all about making sure high school students have a foundation of some sort, that they know, again, what questions they ask themselves, who are they? I always say to high school students, you should be able to describe yourself without talking about grades, first of all, because every student wants to say, I'm an A student or I'm a failing student when I ask them, who are they? And to really just say to yourself, pretend like you're in a room with the lights off, there's no one around you, you don't have your cell phone, and you have to ask yourself, who am I at the end of the day? And, I can say I'm a woman of faith. I feel as though I'm a very resilient woman. I can list things, but it's very hard for high school students, especially, sometimes even adults, to really ask themselves the question, who am I? And I really want every high school student to be able to answer that question and have some sort of foundation, so that when they go in the world, or when they're dealing with adversity in the current day, they know some sort of they have a toolkit of how to help them through it.
I have to say that three things, actually. First of all, I'm glad that there was some sort of divine intervention, which I think there was at that moment, that your friend called you and that song came over to you. Second of all, I'm so sorry that you went through that to the point where you just felt like you were going to end it, because so many children do, especially with cyberbullying now, where that's huge. And third of all, it takes a very special person to turn around such hate and not let it from others, and bullying and hurt, and not let others, you just, instead of going inward, you just turned it around and used empathy to help so many. And that's really difficult to do. That takes a lot of work within yourself, and who better than you to talk to these children about it? It is hugely important.
I appreciate that. I actually, at 13, got called into the guidance office because a friend of mine had told their parents that, their friend was getting bullied, and the parent thought it was their child. So they immediately went in, and I had to have this conversation with the guidance counselor, and they said, we have enough evidence, we have enough testimony to go to the police, and we will stand behind you. And at 13 years old, I said, no, I don't want anything to happen to them, because in time they'll be sorry. And I kid you not, in my sophomore year of high school, I got a call from one of my friends that was still friends with them, and she said, come over, we have to talk to you. And they all cried and said that they were sorry. And not everyone gets that, and I didn't get that for different people who bullied me, but for that, I'm very grateful that obviously it turned out, and I actually still, am in contact with those people, and it turned out to be a very positive story. I didn't harbor any judgment or grudges from anyone that has ever bullied me or abused me or in any way. I'm just not that type of person. I don't know why I was born that way. People ask me all the time, where did you get it from? I have no idea. I just read a ton of books when I was younger, so I kind of say maybe that was it. And I went to church a lot with my mom, so I don't know if that was also an element of it, but that was something that had happened too. That was kind of a more positive ending.
And you strike me as an old soul with a lot of wisdom. What does that say?
I have a lot of
Mallory?
tattoos.
Yeah, I know it must mean something. Listening
I have
to
Learn
your
What
story.
Matters here.
Okay.
I have Crazy Faith here. And then I have Love is Patient. And then I have Love Never Fails. But actually, the tattoo that kind of is about my bullying is I don't know if you definitely can't see it on camera, but I have Live Strong in 2006 on my ankle. And that's kind of the year that a lot of my life went crazy. And I used to wear a Live Strong band on my ankle. And I got the tattoo because I was like, what if this band breaks? And it's, again, crazy enough, the day I got it, that band broke. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to be having this on my ankle. So that was kind of my source of strength for me. And
It's awesome.
so.
Yeah. The TEDx talks that you've done, they're tremendously powerful. I mean, they get global attention, the way these talks and organized throughout the world. Do you hear from people that maybe you've had the privilege of lecturing to at a TEDx event and who maybe just seek you out for some additional help and just some additional insight on some things in their life?
Yeah, the most flattering compliment that I get every time someone watches my TEDx is, I never thought about going back to my high school until I watched yours. And I say to everyone, I go back every year because I have a scholarship that I made specifically for my high school. You don't have to do that. You don't have to give so much money or whatever. But if it even sparks something within someone to think about their experience. I even had a parent one time tell me, I didn't realize that I was parenting my kid based on my high school experience. And I had to really check myself on how I parent, all because of my TEDx talk. And that's why I'm so big with sharing your story in whatever forum you want, because you never know how it could affect someone. That's probably the biggest compliment thing that I hear from people with my TEDx.
Glad you mentioned the scholarship. What are the details of that?
Yeah, so we started a couple years ago. It's a $1,000 financial grant. They can use it towards college, but they don't have to, because I really want to shift the scholarship giving space. Because some students don't need to go to college. Some students are not meant to go to college, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't be given money to pursue their dreams and invest in themselves. They just have to be able to share how they're going to invest in themselves, and it gets them closer to a life goal. They get coaching from me for a year to transition from, high school to adulthood. And then I try to match them with an alumni or an alumni group that can help them maybe in their same field or something that they're interested in. And they have to answer 3 questions. It doesn't even need to be written. It could be vocal. We had someone do an animated video one time, because I also believe that some students are not good at writing. They're better at speaking. They're better at art. And so I wanted a scholarship that when a student looks at it, they can feel like they have a shot. That nothing, because we don't look at financial aid, so nothing that their parents, nothing of their abilities could prevent them from having a shot at it. Because, I knew students that, we don't even look at grades at all. Some students I knew from high school, like one family, their house burnt down. I'm sure that student was not thinking about algebra. They were probably thinking about, where am I going to eat that night, or what am I going to do? So I didn't want people to feel like they could fail one semester and it completely ruined them from getting a scholarship. So that's kind of what we're doing with our Learn What Matters Foundation scholarship. And hopefully, I really want to take it national and global eventually, but I wanted to, start at my place of Freehold High School that I'm very proud to be an alum from.
That's awesome.
Your work nowadays with Google, I envision an open office space like this with people sitting on those big round balls. Is that what it's like to work? And you pick your own hours
With their
and
dog.
do your own thing?
There are lots of dogs. We call them douglers. There are lots
great.
of dogs. There's definitely a very different workspace. I can say that. Every different building is very different. I remember when my mom coming to visit me in California when I worked there, she was just like, I feel as though I'm at college. This doesn't feel like this doesn't feel like a job, Mallory. People are in their gym clothes. I'm very confused. But it is a fun place to work. I mean, I always say to everyone, there's pros and cons to wherever you're going to work, but I have felt very fortunate to work there and all the opportunities I've gotten from that experience. So
That's awesome. We should do this in our pajamas with dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Google does?
Yeah.
wear a onesie. I love onesies. I'm a big advocate for that.
Feeties. Yes,
I think there's a
absolutely.
campaign to ban the man onesie, I think, and I can understand why. So, Mallory, anywhere online, social media, maybe folks can get some more information about your charity, your organization, the scholarship. Where can people go to learn more?
So you can find me at www.ilearnwithmal.com. You can find all the stuff that I'm involved with there. I'm doing a different new website that I'm going to launch for Learn What Matters. So it's not up right now, but you can find all the information right there.
All right, terrific. Mallory Rothstein, thank you for joining us here on Be Inspired. And always great to see New Jersey people doing great things. So
Yes.
maybe we'll get Bruce Springsteen to go back to his high school. So
I mean, I hope so one day.
Anybody could achieve the unachievable.
It's
Yeah.
Mallory.
We're looking at her. You're
I
right.
think so.
You're
Thank you
right.
so much for
Thank you
having
so
me.
much for
Thank
being
you,
here.
Mallory.
I'm Burt Barron.
And I'm Lisa Anderson.
And thank you for joining us for Be Inspired.
Hi, I'm Mallory Rothstein, the founder of Learn What Matters, and I really hope that from listening to my story, it will encourage people to go back to their high school and also encourage people to, again, if you are being bullied to know that there's hope, that you can be successful, that you can find community and resources out there. That if you are a bully, you're bullying someone right now, to know that, stop doing that and see that you can really completely change someone's entire trajectory from your words and actions towards someone. So I hope to just be an inspiration to those that need some inspiration right now.
Next on Be Inspired.
I didn't feel like a purpose or a direction. I didn't know what the future was going to hold for me. I just started using street heroin, which was a natural progression for a lot of people like myself. I still thought that I had a handle on it. I didn't think it was going to be something that was going to drag me to the depths of hell. I had a very near fatal overdose. At this point, it was, my last chance. The missing piece of my puzzle was finding community connection. The help is there. There's no judgment. As long as you're breathing, there's hope.
Be Inspired with your hosts Bert Barron and Lisa Anderson Puleo. Directed by Rod Weber. Created and produced by Michael R. Doyle. Co-producers Bert Barron, Lisa Anderson Puleo, Rebecca Gruber, and Erwin Sternberg. Executive producers Rod Weber and Sean M. Sternberg. Editor Rebecca Gruber. Filmed at New Beginnings Foundation, Wall Township, New Jersey.
Season 5 of Be Inspired is dedicated to the memory of Golden Boy Michael Cammett. Michael was a rising star in the world of professional wrestling who died in a tragic accident this past summer. His memory and legacy live on in the lives he touched, and he will always be remembered by family, friends, and fans.